Yo, so have y'all been seeing what's been going on lately with the economy before the elections? Look right here. So as you can see, Stellantis, they're laying off another 400 workers, right? And I just been seeing a lot of like news articles or reading news articles, just basically like different things that's going on with the economy, right? That's one thing that's real troubling, right? Because a lot of people basically, work at the auto plants and work at like for large corporations. And then when you see them start doing like all these cutbacks and firing and stuff like that, it really blows my mind, right? Guys, it's your favorite businessman, CEO Rico on the Urban CEO Network. And of course, I'm always going to bring y'all some fire, some informative information, some business information that you should really pay attention to. Now, look right here. Here, we see Spirit Airlines stock jumps on plans to cut jobs and sell planes. Now, the reason why I always say, you should start a business. Now, I understand it's not for everybody, but for the ones it is, that's what I'm talking to. The reason why you should start a business is because, guys, there's no such thing as job security. Now, I understand that, back in the day, there used to be a job security with the whole pension and all these different things. But, guys, you got to understand, you have to transition with the times. You have to understand that businesses are no longer necessarily focusing on the employees. They're focusing on their bottom line. You got to understand a lot of the businesses, because they're not just doing business locally or, within the country. They're doing business internationally. Now you got to understand, as we live in the U.S., the U.S. is more like a marketplace, right? Because even the U.S. is a business itself, but it's a marketplace. Think about it. Why is it that we have cars that cost, let's say, like an F-150? I remember I went in and the F-150 was costing around, it was like $52,000. Now, understand, the people that work at the plants, I remember a while ago when they got rid of all of the old plant workers that was working there for, since like the 90s and all like that. They was making like $30, $40 an hour. They gave them all severance packages and like buyouts and stuff like that, and hired in younger people that came in at like $17 an hour, right? Now, understand, getting rid of them and bringing in younger people, that you basically cut the wage in half. Think about how much money that saved the corporations, right? Then they're still making the same product, the cars. And on top of that, their bottom line went down, the cars went up, but the wages didn't even go up. So I always thought about, like, who is going to buy these cars if the wages ain't going up enough to where they can even buy these cars? The cars go up to like $50,000, $60,000 for a car. How are people affording these cars? But then when they start shipping all these jobs over internationally to where they can ship it over to Mexico and pay them even less and then bring the cars back here for you to buy them, you are now going to struggle to buy that brand new car. Car notes costing $600, $700, $800, $900. Like, some of these car notes now are costing about $800, and that's regular. I'm like, man, there's no way in the world I'm about to pay $800 for a car note. That just, to me, like, my business mind, it doesn't make sense, because why am I damn near paying almost a mortgage or rent for a car that's going to depreciate in value? You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, looking at one side from, like, let's say the employee side, it does you no justice. But from a business side, it definitely does you justice, because now you can make more money. Now, some individuals, they always get upset when like the billionaires and the millionaires, and some people like, oh, I hate them. It's like, why? Like, you think about it simply like this. Corporations, they provide jobs. So why would you hate a corporation when they're providing a job? Now, some people say, oh, they're not paying their fair share, or they got all these loopholes or cuts and all like that. It's like, that's kind of like the way everything was set up. Now, it's one of those things where it's like, don't hate the player, hate the game. But it's like, why even hate the game? Just learn the rules to the game. And one of the biggest things, like one of the biggest rules you should learn, you should have a business. Point blank, period. Now, I understand sometimes it's a little frustrating to figure out like what business to start. But that's why you can go on YouTube. You can get a business coach. You can get into a business course. I mean, just do a little bit of research to figure something out. Or if you got a passion, as long as that passion is a profitable passion, that's a business right there. Because there's somebody out there in the world that's willing to pay for what you have to offer. They just don't know you exist yet. But when you start making that type of money, like we're running a business, it changes your whole dynamic, a way of thinking. It just changes everything, because no longer are you thinking of, let me trade my time for money. Because remember, just like I showed you with the two posts with Stellantis and with the airline, they're firing people. And the airline, when they announce they're firing people and selling planes, how does their stock jump up? That's basically indicating that people with money, they're investing more into that company because they're getting rid of people. Now, understand, when it comes to a business, let's say from an investment standpoint, that's looking good from an investment standpoint, because it's like, okay, they doing some cutbacks, they doing some reconciliation, they're condensing things to where they're going to become a more profitable company. So guys, you have to start thinking like a business. Stop thinking like the average everyday person, because you're the commodity in these situations if you really think about it, because you're trading all of your time to give to the company. Guys, company, you don't see the business owner, of large corporations, you don't see them in there doing the day-to-day task. You don't see that. You probably never even met your boss. That's for a reason. So it's like, stop thinking like the employee and start thinking like the employer. It's a whole different dynamic. And I always recommend for everybody that they should learn business, because once you learn business, you start thinking completely different on how things work. Because when you understand the way things work, you don't get mad about things anymore, right? Like, let's say when you go to a job, you'll go to a job like, okay, I'm about to work at this job for like a month and I'm gonna quit. But when you become an actual business owner, you start thinking a little differently, because you now understand what all goes into making this job work. You understand how much is invested when it comes to training, when it comes to like turnover. Like, you understand so many different dynamics. And I think that if more people actually understood the way, like what it takes to run a business, the way business operates and things like that, they will go at it completely different with a different attitude. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand in some situations it can be irritating working at a job, but you also got to understand this. You're making a choice to work there. It's not like anybody is forcing you to work at this job. You're making a choice. So it's like, why not make the best of that choice? Now, in regards to if it's one of those situations where it's like, well, this job isn't fulfilling, this job isn't, paying me what I feel like I'm worth and stuff like that. My question now is, so why haven't you started a business? Why haven't you went out and seeked help to start that business? Like, help is out there. It's everywhere. I mean, whatever the cost is, like when you invest in yourself, how can you really lose when you betting on you? Because if you can sit here and say that, oh, I can't just go spend it, I can't invest this money into yourself, that's basically like you not betting on yourself. Now, if that's the case, then I understand. And if you can't bet on yourself, I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna hold you up. You really shouldn't even be watching me at all, because over here, it's all about creating CEOs, creating executive opportunities. That's what the CEO community is all about. We create executive opportunities. We don't, even if you are in a 9-to-5, you can still create executive opportunity to where you can transition completely out of it. And that's what I help people do. That's what the community is all about. That's where we collaborate. We come up with different ideas and pitch different things to where people can create those opportunities to where they can get themselves to where they want to go. You feel what I'm saying? So no more should you be operating in a position of, I'm just going to stay here at this job and, I hate rich people and, having all these negative thoughts and negative mindsets. You shouldn't even be there. You should be, okay, how can I leverage this job to get from where I'm at now, point A, how can I get to point B, point C? You feel what I'm saying? How can I get to starting that business while I'm at this job, start generating revenue? And then, let's say 6 months to a year, I basically created the revenue that I'm making at this job. I'm making it over here. Life starts to become a lot less stressful when you start doing that, because you don't even necessarily got to leave a job then. You can, if you started a business to where your business is making the same amount of money as your job, you can still work that job until the business is making so much money to where it's costing you more money to stay at this job than it is for you working your business. And at that point, you're not quitting your job, you're firing your job. You can go into work and tell your boss, like, listen, it's costing me too much money to work here, so I'm gonna have to fire you. Today's my last day. I'm out of here. You hear the words that I'm using? It's a completely different dynamic when you can go and do that. I remember when I actually fired my job, right? Because this was like some years ago, where I was working as a garage doors. Now that's one job I can honestly say I enjoyed. Reason being, it was commission based. This was my first commission based job, and it showed me that I had a significant ability to sell as well as repair the garage doors. But I was like the number one sales technician in Michigan. You feel what I'm saying? And before I left that job, I literally outsold, and I said this to myself, I was like, I'm going to outsell everybody by over $10,000. And that's exactly what I did. Then left them, and I went and sold cars. I sold cars literally for a month, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. Guys, I fired that job in 1 month. I'm like, listen, it's costing too much for me to be here. And after that, I never looked back. Never looked back. That is an amazing feeling. And it's crazy because a relative called me, just so happened they called me as I was leaving, and they asked what I was doing. I was like, man, I just quit this job. And I was so happy. I was so excited. And still to this day, they always would say, bro, I have never heard somebody so happy to quit a job. Like you was the most excited person, all of you quitting. That was for a reason, guys. And honestly, I want y'all to feel that same type of feeling, because seeing that people getting laid off, Amazon laying off, when they was laying off, I don't know if they still laying off now. I haven't looked anytime soon. Well, recently, I should say. You have, Stellantis laying off, and who knows who else is going to be laid. I think I actually seen Ford, if I'm not mistaken, has like closed down one of their plants in Michigan, and it was dealing with one of the EV vehicles, and they don't know when they was going to start it back up. That stuff is crazy, because a lot of people, especially in the Michigan area, a lot of people work at those plants. I mean, a lot of people work at those plants. So when those plants start to close, think about what it's going to do to the economy. But if you already had a business online making money to where it was basically like, oh, okay, they laid me off. So what? I'm already good. My bill's paid already for the next 6 months, and I still got more bread coming in. I'm not worried about it whatsoever. That changes the whole dynamic of your life and your livelihood. And that's all I want you guys to experience. I want you guys to experience having a different life to where you don't have to depend on the job solely. It's like if that job stops, it's like, okay, yeah, one of your income sources has stopped. Yeah. But it's like, bro, I'm already smooth. I'm already Gucci. Like, that job ain't stopping nothing. That's the benefit of when you start a business and you grow it to a point to where you good. And especially when you add on the stocks and the real estate component to it too. We talking about a trio for real. We talk about a 3-meat trio for all the people that like pizza. But yeah, like that feeling is amazing. So guys, let me know what y'all think about that. I want y'all to drop some comments, drop a heart, drop a like. Let me know how y'all feel about that. If y'all agree with what I'm saying, make sure y'all like, subscribe, and share, and I'll catch y'all on the next one.